We are live after half an hour. Okay, so now if you go to Facebook, you should see us talking right now.
Okay.
I just tagged you, like your name, so you can page or whatever you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on mute. I'm going to just share this a ton so the echo isn't there. Then I'm going to come back on.
Okay.
So perfect.
I still don't see it. So where am I supposed to go to find it? Would it be on? Because I'm on the page, but I don't see it.
Okay, do you see it?
No.
No.
I was trying to share it, but I'm on the Black Woman's Guide where you can't see my phone, and I still it's not showing.
See us. Oh, you're on your phone. You can't see us if you go to Black Women's Guide on Facebook?
No, the last thing is still February 14th. It's not even showing.
Just do a quick swipe on it, like refresh it.
Yeah, I did that like 3 times.
Really? Because I'm watching you live. I'm watching us live
I don't know what's going on
right now. Here, I'll share it. Go to your go to your page, your Kendra.
Okay. Kendra or put it on Smiles. Which one did you share it to?
Your name, Kendra.
Okay. Let's see if I can.
And then it has a notification that says share something with you or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for, the notification to come through, but that hasn't even came through yet. So I don't know if there's a delay. Yeah, the notification and it hasn't came through either. So I don't know if it's a delay on my end.
It might just be a delay because I'm watching it here.
Yeah, I can see it on your end. So yeah, it might just be a delay. I'll give it about.
But I did put the hashtags there so people can see it from your site, and I did put at Putting on Smiles. It just isn't pulling up on Facebook. Just there.
Just yet.
So.
Okay.
It's okay. We'll rock and roll. All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 7. The technology hurdles keep on coming, and we keep on battling them. So I really want to say thank you to Kendra for being so patient as we've worked this out. And for many of you guys who are going to be watching this later through the replay, because it's delayed, feel free to put your questions in the comments, and I'm going to make sure to send them to Kendra as well so she can also answer them and connect with you if you're not able to join us live at this time. I still have the Facebook Live rocking and rolling on my phone. So if you do come in and join and you comment or ask questions here, I will see them and I will also ask them as well. So thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you so much again for coming. So I'd like us to start so people just get to know you a little bit. Just share with them, what you do, what your company is, just to give them a lay of the land.
Okay, so we've been dubbed as the world's greatest gourmet puddings. We've taken the traditional Southern banana pudding and giving it so many different varieties, different flavors. We wanted to do something that kind of had like cheesecake and ice cream, where you can go and be able to go to a store and grab a good, consistent banana pudding, or we have like strawberry banana. We have it layered between red velvet, so many different flavors, but without, because a lot of places you go and it's not the same, the great consistency. So that's kind of what we do.
Gotcha. And so have you always, so a lot of women that watch the Black Women's Guide are women in their like late 20s all the way up to like mid 40s, right? And so one of the big questions, how do I pick what I want to do? I care about so many different things. So share a little bit about how you landed on banana pudding as the thing, or just puddings in general that you were going to do versus kind of all the other options out there.
Okay, so I had a bakery. A lot of people know my company, My G's Bakery Cafe. I owned a bakery for about 7 years. Back in 2013, I was hospitalized. I got pregnant. I was hospitalized for preeclampsia and lupus anticoagulant. My daughter came early at 24 weeks. After I had to take about a year and a half to 2 years off of the business. Of my baking. When I came back into the business, because she was hospitalized for about 10 months. So we didn't come home from the hospital till October 2014. So when I came back, it took a year to kind of get her together. She had a lot of equipment because she was born so young. When I came back into the business world, me and my husband was like, well, I don't really want to go back into doing custom cakes, and because everybody was already doing it. The market for that was so saturated. So it was like, what was one thing on our menu that people loved? It was my banana pudding. People always raved about it. It was always the first thing to go. So it was like, okay, let's take it to the market. I've always had ideas of doing different flavors with banana pudding. I like to experiment with different flavors just in general. And took it to the market, started at Dallas Farmers Market one weekend in June of last year. I believe it was mid-June of last year. And it kind of just went like wildfire, and we knew it was the next best thing in desserts.
Gotcha. And so talk a little bit about, I mean, because I love it because, as I'm sure you know, is that when you say go to market, you mean literally I went to the farmer's market, right? Not like the go-to market.
Yes.
Going to the industry. It's like I went to the actual farmer's market, and so you're doing basically like wholesale distribution. Which I love.
Yes, we do wholesale and retail.
Wholesale and retail. Perfect. So it's like where scalability lives, right? So can you just share, because most people don't have this perspective, what are the differences, or how have you felt between the bakery life, kind of the brick and mortar, and the wholesale distribution, and kind of, what are your feelings about those two different business models?
Well, when I did cakes, they were only custom, so I was only creating cakes when I would get a call in, and it was a lot of marketing behind it, and you really didn't, if you didn't do a lot of marketing and go to a lot of events, you really didn't reach customers unless you got the word of mouth, the people that liked your cakes, or people passed your website. Retailing and wholesaling, because we have our product in stores as well as we do farmers markets on the weekends. You get to touch a lot of different people. You never know who's across from you, who you're talking to. So I like that aspect of it better, just because you get to touch people that you never would have crossed paths with online, because you're pretty much, unless you go to events in the baking world, you're pretty much just marketing. Food is one thing about, people have to taste your food in order to want it. It can look great, but if it doesn't taste great, then people are not going to want it. So I think that's the difference with doing custom cakes. It's a trickle down effect. You only get pretty much word of mouth, and doing retailing and wholesaling, you get to touch a lot of different people, and you kind of get your product out faster to the market, as opposed to just paying a lot more in marketing.
Gotcha. Okay, fair game. I mean, I agree with you. I think like I used to have a food company back in the day. And so we just went straight to wholesale. We didn't even do brick and mortar because I was like custom, smushed them, like whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I think it's valuable that a lot of people start in the custom world because they want to create something that's unique and different that brands them.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about so you were doing a word of mouth model. Is it still word of mouth now? Are you doing other things to market the company?
It's still word of mouth now because it was a new item. You know, people, of course, a lot of bakeries have pudding on their menus, just, you know, the basic banana pudding. But when we came out with last year, we had almost 30 different flavors. So, and we kind of rotate them throughout the year. Yeah, through seasons, right? We have our 10 core flavors, and then we have seasonal flavors that come out throughout the year. And it's just word of mouth. I mean, every Saturday we go to the market, Saturday or Sunday, or do big events, people come by and say, oh, my friend told me about you, or I saw you on Instagram, or I saw you on Facebook. So up until now, it's been just word of mouth, doing Instagram. And of course, our stores that we're in, they definitely promote our product because they love it as well.
Gotcha. Can you talk a little bit about the margins? And people, if you're watching the show for the first time, I like to get into the weeds of the business. I know people can talk about, like, what's my favorite pudding flavor? I'm like, I don't really care. I'm trying to be like, how do you run your business? Like, in the weeds. Talk a little bit about the margins, because brick and mortar has a different margins, right? You're paying for overhead, you're paying utilities. But
yes,
Wholesome has its own margins. Maybe you have a commissary kitchen that you're sharing. There's different kind of requirements. So are the margins different, or are you finding it's the same? You're cutting the same amount of profit from the product?
the margins are very different. Custom, you can kind of, like you said, you don't really have as much custom, especially cakes here in Texas. You know, they have the common food law where you can do cakes out of your home. So you don't have to worry about that overhead. You don't have to worry about hiring anybody and all that. But when it comes to puddings, it's considered a perishable item. So you have to rent a commissary. You have to have many different permits that I did not have to have doing cakes. So renting a kitchen, that's overhead. You know, when we're doing large events, you have to hire people on, like contractors for that week or whatever. And just, we're really not paying for marketing, but I guess more so we have less margin doing pudding than I did cakes, because it's so much more that goes into it. Renting a kitchen is pretty much, for any entrepreneur that does catering can tell you, that's pretty much the bulk of your overhead cost is renting that kitchen. So it's a smaller margin, but on a wider scale, once you get your business to where you're able to scale up, to more volume, then your margin kind of increases from there.
Right. So I love this, because the first thing about this is, like, know your state laws, because
yes.
I was in Philadelphia at the time, and in Philadelphia you couldn't make anything in your home. So it's like it's interesting to be like, oh, cakes, you know, you can make at your house, which just completely reduces the cost of scaling. And then with puddings, you have to get a kitchen, and that's way more expensive. So know your state laws, because it changes how you build your business. So that's really important. And then when you're talking about, like, the margins and the volume, what people oftentimes don't realize, and so you can talk a little bit about how you felt about that experience, going from maybe I was getting 60% of the money back from my cake, and now I'm getting like $1 per batch of pudding.
Yes.
I'm like, how are you funding? How are you funding that? Is that like, because in the beginning, that's what the hardest part is. It's like the margins are so small that the growth starts off slower, because you need to kind of have more money to grow, because the margins don't really like, I can sell a $5 banana pudding, only make $1, so I can't from that $1 make a whole other batch. I have to sell 5 puddings to make one more batch. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, I guess we've only been open about 7 months, going on 8 months now. So definitely, compared to a custom bakery, has been the hardest 8 months ever. But you just kind of have to stick it out. You, like you said, you have to kind of we really just been funneling the money back into the business. We make the money on the weekends. We make it through our retail and just footwork. We've just been knocking on doors, getting our products wherever we can, people that love it wherever we can. And if we can bring in more revenue, of course, we can bring in more volume to where it decreases our margin. And we've done great. I know when we first started in June, we were selling probably about 100 to 200 a weekend. And now we're well above that, selling anywhere between 500 jars a weekend, plus whatever our wholesale accounts are. So
that's a lot of
definitely, Yes, that's a lot of pudding. I'm getting great biceps doing this, mixing all this
Yes.
pudding. So if you definitely just stick with it, I mean, and the main goal is to get your product out there. Right now, we're still in the building a brand phase. So we have to just funnel it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Just out, you seek people, investors. We've come across investors, you seek loans. I mean, if you don't already have the funding already there, investors and loans are your next best bet, because we started the company literally with nothing and just kind of just everything we made, put it back in and kept it pushing.
Mm-hmm. Or do you guys have like an accountant or someone who does like your back office? Or are you guys doing all of that as well?
No, right now we use QuickBooks. So
Okay.
like I said, in the beginning phases, you want to kind of be as lean as possible. So learn everything you can. You're going to wear many hats. We use QuickBooks, try to do our own accounting. I mean, of course, the main thing you want to have is a business attorney to make sure everything is correct, and especially with food, your
I love what you're saying
insurance,
right now.
attorney.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, you can kind of learn on your own. And as you grow, you can start hiring people, because we're in the process of finding marketing consultants, of hiring a marketing consultant,
Mm-hmm.
hiring a social media. In the beginning, it's pretty much just utilizing all the sources you have. We utilize Facebook, Instagram, we utilize all social media, word of mouth, and just knocked on doors, went to mom and pop grocery stores and just talked to decision maker. Here, taste this. If you love it, we talk about putting it in your store. And pretty much that's it. My husband is pretty
Yeah.
much the face of the company. I'm more behind the scenes. I'll learn
Okay.
all the techie stuff and I'll do the pudding, and he'll go knock on doors. And so we're a tag team in that aspect.
So I've talked to a couple women who have been in business with their husbands, and I haven't talked with them about the relationship, but talk because you've been through multiple businesses with your husband. Like, so maybe at the high level, like some common things people should know about working with their spouse that would be valuable.
Well, this is our first business working together, so I've learned a lot in these first 8 months. A lot of people that know us, our personalities are completely different. So I'm the artistic one. I'm the chef, so I'm the artistic, and he's, we got to do it this way, and this is how it's done, because he has a business background, a leadership background. He was in executive level in the companies he worked in, executive leaders and stuff. So he has that leadership background and that get it done, how to get it done. I'm artistic, and I'm like, okay, I want to try this new flavor, and I want to add this, and I think we should go here. So we butt heads a lot. Just because our personalities kind of clash. But overall, that balance is kind of what gives us that, I guess power couple, whatever. I don't know what people will call it, but is my weaknesses is his strength. So I think that's kind of what you have to play off when you're husband and wife team. You allow him to play on his strengths, and then he allow you to play on your strengths, and I think it'll work out. But we do butt heads. That's just something that's just gonna happen, and you gotta kind of just get over it and keep moving.
Yeah. No, I love it, and I think, and because what you mentioned here was important is like, you guys started it together. It wasn't like I already was in business for 5 years, and then he tried to join me, right? It's like, no, we started together, so we both have this kind of common investment in figuring it out together, right? Which makes it a very kind of healthy,
a little bit more easier. Yeah,
for sure. But I love that you're using QuickBooks, because a lot of women ask, like, what tools do you use, and how often do you track it? I know a lot of women who would like are just keeping receipts and put them in a folder, and QuickBooks, it helps to have helpful. A tool that can show you the reports.
Yeah, it's very
and
helpful because you can
like
link it to all your bank accounts.
Yeah, that stuff is awesome. And I think a lot of, I mean, how early did you get that stuff? Because a lot of times people are like, they'll go to like maybe their local chamber, for example, or if they have an African American chamber, they might go to that, or like an enterprise center type of community center, and they'll get like freebie advice, like the half an hour consult, whatever. Like, when at what point did you decide, hey, we need to have these things in place, like before we even start? Or was it like 3 months in, you're like, oh, we need a business lawyer? Or like, when did that happen?
Well, I think I learned, okay, so I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I've had
Mhm.
several different businesses and I've learned something from
Okay.
each of them. I started at 18 where I opened my own modeling agency. And then before I found my true passion, which was cooking, I had a modeling agency, and then I don't even remember what my second business was, to tell you the honest truth. And then I went to baking back in 2009, and we opened the business in 2010. So I learned a
Uh-huh.
lot. I mean, just like you were saying, community. I'm a big researcher, but a lot of women, men in the community, I've always tried to surround myself with people that I can learn from. So
Mhm.
they've just helped me along the way, and definitely Google. I went the SBA route. Yes, Google is amazing.
Mhm.
I went the SBA route. I've gotten the free help from Commerce. I've gotten free help from I can't think of the name, where you go and get a free business advisor. I've gotten free help from that, and especially with this
Mhm.
business, just because it was so many different permits that I didn't need before. I like going into Dallas
Mhm.
Farmers Market. We would go and talk to the people, the decision makers at Dallas Farmers Market, because you have to have permits before you can get in there. And then go into the grocery stores we wanted to get into. We will talk to decision makers just to see what do we need to get into the store, and then just go about moving it that way. So that was the easiest way, is just either just doing your
Gotcha.
research, pretty much, just doing your research.
Mhm. So talk to me about the scalability side of your business, because like this is very near and dear to my heart, because I went through this like 3 years ago, like building a business with a
Okay.
partner, and like the cost it takes to scale a food company, talking to Whole Foods, talking to different supermarket vendors, the cost of equipment to scale up, co-packing. I mean, there.
Yes.
So you guys are 8 months in, so I don't even know there's a 2.0 version yet for your business, but what's the next like 18 to 24 months look like for you guys in terms of what you want to see or what you expect to see from your business?
Well, this year alone, we want to see tremendous growth, and we've already solidified several different accounts and events. So our main goal this year is to get our brand out there. We built a brand, and now it's just a matter of, I guess, I don't can't find the word, but allowing people to and communicate that brand to people. I guess you would say.
Hmm.
Just our main goal, scalability wise, is to get into a big box store. So we're working on
Uh-huh.
steps to do that, whether that's getting our own kitchen space. That way we of um, lower the cost of
Commissary, yeah.
that overhead, and then bringing our margin up. So our main goal is the more accounts we can get, the lower our margin can get. So it's just
Hmm.
doing footwork and kind of meeting people, shaking hands, and trying to get into where we can, and then hiring a team. So we have a small team right now. Of course,
Hmm.
I can't do it by myself. My husband, he helps cook when he can, but of course, I can't do it by myself. So the main goal is to hire a solid team, get our business out there, and lower our margins. Because that's really the only way we're going to make money in this company, is lowering our margins. And then community service is kind of one big thing for us. I know I touched a little bit on my daughter being a preemie, and that's something we've always wanted to
Hmm.
do, is to go into that aspect. So once we get the business to the point where it can run itself, we can go back to just um, whether working with hospitals and preemie babies, and that's kind of the ultimate
Hmm.
goal, is going into community service, working with the youth and things like that.
Hmm.
But that's our goal in the long run.
Gotcha. Now, a lot of the women I speak to have kind of community or philanthropic kind of goals associated
Hmm.
with their vision of themselves, what they want to create in the world, through their business,
Yeah.
and beyond. Um, so I think, do you have a sense? Are you thinking to yourself, is that a whole different business? Is that a nonprofit? What is that? What are you thinking in terms of the preemies and kind of what you're going to do there?
Yeah, we actually started the business 2 years ago when my daughter came out of the hospital. It's called the One Tough Cookie Foundation. So the goal is to get that to be a nonprofit, and then we can expand on that, whether it's giving a portion of our sales to helping that foundation succeed, to helping hospitals, donating back to hospitals, donating. Just, I know when I was in the hospial, just the fact that you were able to talk to somebody who's already been through it. So that's our main goal, is being able to go into the hospital and talking to people who are in the hospital, because, you know, you get those thoughts of depression and why me and things like that when your baby's born too early or your baby doesn't make it, pretty much. So main goal is just to touch as many lives in that aspect as we can. So we would want to do a nonprofit, solidify a nonprofit.
Okay, awesome. There's a lot of women who watch this from Texas, so I'm sure they're all like, you know, you guys can all connect in your own space, and like there's a lot of similar interests, I think, that come out of these calls, which is awesome. In terms of just like life work balance, so new baby, married, new business, a very physical business, big cooking.
Yes.
Yeah. How does that go? How's that going?
That's still a work in progress. I think that's a everyday work in progress, life work balance. Especially, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, moms, dads that work from home, they understand that, you know, you want to spend time with your family, but you also want to make sure the business succeeds, because that's what you want to leave as your legacy for your kids. So it's kind of just, and then you want to have time for your significant other. So it's a daily struggle for me, because I'm not the most organized person. So it's definitely a daily struggle for me to find that balance where I'm focusing on the business and then spending time and then being able to be present with my family. So it's a daily struggle. I haven't figured it out yet. So if anybody figures it out, just let me know, because I haven't figured it out yet. It's a daily struggle.
Gosh, yeah, I figured. I'm like, that's a lot. I'm surprised you're still up and moving.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that's a real thing. Exhaustion is a real thing, right? And so, like, especially like when you're doing such a physical business, I mean, just like stirring, I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Like,
it's a daily struggle. Finding time to sleep is definitely like on the back burner. Yes. Yeah, I'm building biceps.
You probably got like pipes.
They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
These biceps, they're coming.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's serious work. Nice. I was like, that was because, I mean, I know with our food company, my co-founder at the time, Charlotte, I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, just like the amount of like standing and packaging and
it's very strenuous
and all that.
You got to manufacture everything on your own.
Are you guys at the point now where you're actually like, are you still just like weighing things like with like measuring cups, or are you actually doing things by scale, like on a scale and weighing?
I guess since I've been doing it so long, I don't really use a scale. I have certain size scoops that do exact measurement. So I kind of know exactly what's going into the jar, exactly how much spoons of cookies are going to the jar. So that's kind of how I do my measurements. I started out doing scales, but I guess made it a more efficient process with just knowing what size scoop I needed, what size tablespoon I needed, and then went from there and kind of kept everything the same. So all the jars pretty much look the same, but with the artisanal
and once you get
touch.
To the next,
I still want to go ahead.
To feel. No, go ahead. Go ahead. You still want to feel like artisanal.
Yeah, so I still want the jars to look like they're, being homemade, because it's still being made by a person, as opposed to look so perfect that it's being made by a factory.
Gotcha. Yeah. And as you grow, you'll probably end up going back to scale. Like at some point,
of course,
get a lot of volume. Yeah. The way I'm like, you won't be scooping it out. But yeah, I think, it's funny. I talk to a lot of women who are making some kind of product, and they're doing what you're doing. They're like, I'm weighing it out with a measuring cup, and I know my system, and so it's efficient for me. But doesn't mean it's actually efficient, right?
Yeah. So when I start training, I have to go back to scale.
It works for me now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I can do it, but it doesn't mean it's like the best thing for everyone to do. If we added 2,000 orders to this, would this make sense still?
Yes. So definitely
Right.
when we start training, it has to be a solidified process to where everybody does the same thing. So I would have to go back to scaling to make sure, because each jar is 6 ounces, to make sure we're getting 6 ounces of pudding, getting how many ever ounces of cookies. So I would definitely have to make a leaner process to where it's trainable even if I'm not there. So that's the goal, is
Yeah.
to make that process leaner.
And share about that, because I think, a lot of people assume growth is the goal, but I talk to a lot of Black women where growth is not the goal, like where they're just going to be I am a big proponent, I always tell people, of wealth building. And for me, wealth
Mm-hmm.
building requires scale, and it requires ability to hire and train other people. We have to be really open to someone else being in your business.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about the training side. How do you bring people into your business? What's that experience been like for you? Has it ever not worked out so well? Kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, of course, we've hired a couple people for big events that we've done. I think
Mm-hmm.
the biggest factor when you have a recipe that you believe is proprietary is just the trust factor, that somebody's going to come in, take
Mm-hmm.
your recipe, run off, and open their own business. And I think that's a hurdle that most business owners have to kind of get over, because in order to grow, in order to, like you said, build wealth with your company, you have to be able to bring people in, to scale your business up. So I think for me, biggest hurdle was just the trust factor, because I know my recipe, and I know, it's a secret recipe to me, and it's a great
Mm-hmm.
recipe. I haven't, heard anything bad about our product yet. So we do have non-disclosure agreements for, anybody that comes in to our kitchen, and that's definitely
Mm-hmm.
something you want to have, is a non-disclosure agreement if you, feel like you don't want that person taking your product or taking your recipe and running off with it. So that's one thing we've
Mm-hmm.
implemented to kind of take the trust factor out of play, is we have non-disclosure agreements. Of course, we have an attorney. Of course, we
Mm-hmm.
do interviews and try to hire the best people possible that we feel within our spirit are good people. But other than that, to kind of cover our butts on the other end, is non-disclosure agreements are the biggest factor, because you don't want anybody to run off with your product. So I think
Mm-hmm.
scaling and small businesses going to big businesses, that's the biggest thing, is that trust factor of hiring somebody in, because you want to be able to teach people, but you don't want people to kind of take your product and run off with it.
Sure. But I mean, given
Yeah.
how much work it takes, it's like very unlikely, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like they can get the recipe, but like
You're
if
like,
they're gonna go
yeah,
and like
no.
try to build a whole business, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. They're seeing what you're doing every day, and they're like, "Do I want
Yes.
to do that?"
Do
Right?
I really want to
And so
do
it's like a
this?
whole different.
Nah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. They're like, not too sure.
Yeah.
So 100%. And so you kind of talk through the marketing. Talk with me just a little bit about like logistics, because I think a lot of people, it's something they don't really think about. Think about like, I'm just going to make the product, but they don't really think about like how I get the product to the customer. And so since you
Mm-hmm.
have a FISM, talk a little bit about like, how do you ship? How do you get things to people? Do you drive? Do you drop it off? Are you mailing? How is that working for you? Are you only doing local? Is it going beyond Texas or outside of your
Mm-hmm.
area?
Yeah, so we do ship. That was one thing that was unique about our product, is we do ship pudding across the U.S. We've shipped to California, we've shipped to New Jersey, we went to
Nice.
Mississippi. Those are the few states that we've shipped to so far. We are on the platform of Uber Eats, so we do
Mm-hmm.
deliveries around Arlington. Of course, we do drive deliveries if people are outside of the Arlington Uber Eats area. We do our own deliveries outside of that, Dallas Fort Worth. And then of course we're in stores. So if
Mm-hmm.
it's not in a local store near you, then we will deliver to your door. So that'll
Gotcha.
be our goal, is to kind of get the whole encompass around, and we're still in the phase of seeing what works and what doesn't work at this point. When
Gotcha.
we do ship, we of course we have to keep the product cold, so we ship on dry ice, anywhere between
Mm-hmm.
overnight up to 3 days. We don't want to do anything longer than 3 days, because we want to get
Mm-hmm.
there, as cool as possible to the client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that right now you're not tracking against your margins, because because shipping is a bear of a cost,
Yes, shipping is
especially on dry ice
definitely,
and all that.
yes, shipping is definitely, that's one of our biggest costs. That's why we're in kind of trial phase of shipping, just to make sure it's going to work for our company itself. Because if they go on our website, shipping is $40. So some people are willing to pay that
So they're
if they
buying a lot
want our
of it.
product. Yes, and some people are not, because we have a minimum order of, it doesn't make any sense to ship for that and buy one jar. So it's a minimum of 12
Right.
jars or 24 mini jars in order to ship across anywhere outside of the state of Texas. So it makes it worth your while a little bit to spend that $40 shipping cost.
Right on the
Yeah.
product. Gotcha.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a new entrepreneur in the food industry? What if they were starting this year, 2017, what advice would you give them on how to start it up?
Well, first I would say just make sure it's your passion, because the food industry is not an easy industry. So if you don't love to do it, you're going to fade away very fast, because it's not easy on your body and it's not easy on your funds. So food industry has a very low margin. So if you don't love to do it, you're not going to stay with it. Second piece of advice is just research. I mean, the laws on food are constantly changing. Whether it's in your state, just research what permits you need, research what business, and get with somebody that's done it before. That was one of our biggest things. Is I would just talk to people that's been in the food industry for years, and just to kind of see what I need, what I should be looking forward to for the next 5 years. So research is a big thing. If you research and figure out your permits, because the biggest thing is that you don't want is for a health department to come and shut you down, because 9 times out of 10, they won't allow you to reopen, or if you do reopen, you're spending way more money trying to pay your fines as opposed to just figuring out everything you need and then moving on from there once you get all your permits and things like that. So that would be my advice. The food.
That's some good advice. I mean, yeah, food is hard. Food is a super hard business, and a lot of people start with food. They think, I know how to bake, I know how to cook. It's easy to start a food business, and it's easy to make food for your friends and for your for your household. It's a whole different ball game.
It's a whole other ball game as a business. Yes.
What is something throughout your career that you wish you had known sooner, given the fact that you had a couple of different businesses in your life?
That's a hard question, because everything I see is a learning experience. So I don't believe in making any mistakes. Everything happens for a reason. Something that I wish I would have known.
Your deepest, your deepest moment of learning, what people would normally call failure, I like to call it the deepest moment of learning. Sir.
So I would think it would be not knowing truly what I wanted to do. I think if you take whatever time it takes to figure out what you truly want to know what to do, as opposed to just opening stuff because you like it and opening stuff just because you love doing that. I think that was my deepest moment of learning. Once I figured out what I wanted to do, I figured out what my passion was, no matter what trials and tribulations we went through in the business, I remembered why I wanted to do it. So I was able to keep going. But like in my modeling business, I like modeling, I like being behind the scenes. And that was the reason I opened my business. But I wasted a lot of money doing that. I wasted a lot of money, a lot of time doing that. But I think that would be, I guess, my deepest learning is just knowing what you truly love to do prior to spending all that money on opening a business. Because at the end of the day, if you don't truly love to do it, if you're doing it only for money, it's not going to last. You want to be able to do it because you love to do it, and trust me, the money will come. So people can see that when they talk to you, what your passions are.
That's true. That's always a good thing. It's like, if you don't don't know what you like, ask your friends because I'll tell you what you like.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you
The
talk
people
about it,
that are closest to you can tell you what you like. Yeah.
yeah, it's very obvious to them. Like, oh, you like this thing. You're like, oh, do I? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a good way to start it out for sure, for sure. No, I think
Just
that's really,
nurture
really
that.
good advice because, yep, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
A lot of women that follow the Black Women's Guide, they jump from idea to idea, or they
Mm-hmm.
think that they're starting a side hustle. I'm going to just sell insurance, or I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
do this thing because everything outside of them has told them that this is a good business idea, right? And so they don't have to come, they don't have to do much because the idea is already determined as good.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how business works at all. It's like you have to really deeply, it's still a competitive landscape. You have to still be really good at what you do and really want to do it every day.
Yes, yes.
Right?
I
No matter if
agree.
you're selling debt relief
Insurance,
or
because I've
case of
definitely,
alcohol in it.
I've always been, my mom, my dad's Jamaican, so people used to always tell me I work like a Jamaican. I was always doing 5 different businesses at one
That's
time.
what it,
I never really understood if you hone in on just one thing and you do it really, really well. And even now, because I have artistic mind, I'm always thinking of other things, but just
right.
perfecting one thing and then moving on to another, being known for one thing. My husband tells me this all the time. Once you get good at one thing and you get known for one thing, you can move forward and then, kind of expound on that. And then people will be like, oh, okay, I know this is going to be good because she's already built a brand off of that. So trying to open 5 different things at one time or 5 different businesses, because I was doing baking and then I was doing, I guess, selling electricity. I was just doing too much. It kind of takes your focus off what you need to be doing. Like, they don't even match, so just honing on one thing and kind of just mastering that one thing and then moving forward from there. I think that's the best way to, I don't want to say success because everybody's definition of success is a little bit different, but that's the best way to build that legacy for your family and the best way to build wealth for your family for years to come.
I think when people are really honest with themselves, I've had some women on the show who've been like, "Oh, well, I do a couple of different things." And I think when you're truly honest with yourself, 2 things come up that are really clear. One is like, I might do different things now, but I built them all by themselves at different times. So I spent the first 10 years doing X. I spent the next 10 years doing Y. And so now I happen to just have this reservoir of things that I can do that I've become an expert in. But they're not like starting all of them from scratch, right? Like
at one time,
that, right, exactly. And then you get honest and you start to realize that like this might also be age. You just get tired. You're like, I'm just tired. Like I can't do 5 things. And so it forces you to say like, what does it look like to do a really good job at one thing? And it's a lot of work to do really, really well. And it's not as sexy or as fun to do all the work on one thing.
Yeah. It's not, but it's worth it in the end, because that way, when you do expound and try to do other things, you've already built that reputation. But if you're trying to do 5 things at once, it's like, well, what does she want to do? I mean, like, I don't really know what to support her in because she has like 5 different businesses that none of them have really established themselves. So once you establish yourself and become an expert at one thing, then you kind of expound on that. Like you said, a lot of women that own multiple businesses, and you go back and look at how they started with one and kind of just grew with that once they became an expert at one and kind of just grew on that.
Yeah, it's like no one's going to be more committed than you are to your own business.
Yes.
So if people aren't supporting you, you have to ask why. It's because you haven't put a flag in the ground and say, here's what you can support me on.
Yes.
Right. Because no one's just going to throw you cash.
Yeah.
Just to throw you some cash.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, it's Christmas. Christmas is your birthday.
Just give it all to her. Why not?
Maybe Easter.
Yeah. Right. Support all her business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last question. And just at the resource level, I like to always share some tips for people. Is there any particular resource or tool that you've used in your business career that you thought was really useful and valuable and made like a real difference in how you operate and grow your business?
I think the best resource for me was finding a local chamber, because you have people that's been in business, or that can direct you to where you need to go. So if you find a local chamber in your area, they can kind of give you the start and give you a person to talk to, that's been in your business already. And I think that kind of is your starting point, because I found out a lot of information just from my local chamber, whether it was on different laws, whether it was on different permits I needed, was all from just a local chamber. And I think that would be the main thing. And my other thing is I'm just real big on research. So right now we live in an age of where you can find anything online by the click of a button. So if you need to know something, go to Google or whatever your favorite search, web search app is, go to that, and you'll find somebody out there that's done what you are trying to do and that has been successful at it. And then you can kind of follow their steps. Like one thing I've learned when I did real estate way back when, that was my second biggest, real estate, is don't try to reinvent the wheel. You know, you can open a new business. Like our business is unique in itself, but business itself is not unique. So there are going to be steps you have to take regardless of what business you do. There's going to be basic steps that you have to take. So don't try to reinvent that wheel, and just take your basic business steps and move forward from there and just grow on that. And having a mentor, that's the biggest thing, having a mentor. That was definitely always a help for me. So having somebody you can always go back to and talk to and bounce ideas off of.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I think SCORE is a good resource for that, and there's a lot of different ones people can use to find mentors, which I agree are a little bit harder to find. I love what you said about the chamber. I think it's the chambers are like the business law, the licensing, all that kind of stuff that no one talks about. I mean, they have some stuff on marketing and things like that, but I think where they really shine is kind of like the government contract, like all the things that you just are like kind of bureaucratic in nature that we don't really understand as citizens. I think the chambers do a great job of saying, here's what you need to know functionally, about how to run your business. Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kendra. This is wonderful. I really appreciate it. And for everyone I know who's going to be watching this later and looking at this later, put your comments, put your questions. We'll do the video and we'll put it back up with some branding and stuff next week, and we'll share it around so everyone can check it out. So thank you so much. And Kendra, thank you.
Thank you for having me. And you can get her
puttingsonsmiles.com.
Yes, so it's puttingonsmiles.com, and Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, it's all at Putting on Smiles.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for watching the Black Women's Guide show.
Bye. Thank y'all.
Bye. So I'm going to stop broadcasting.
Okay.
And I will, there we go. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to save this video, download it. I'll have my